This video is brought to you in part by Squarespace. Welcome back to Sonic Speed Reading. Today, we're going to be getting caught up with everything that's been going on right before the book took its hiatus for the Fang miniseries. Issue 67, which got a lot of the fanbase buzzing. Is it because it looks like Surge and Kit are turning over a new leaf and becoming good guys? No, not at all. The fanbase didn't trust them for a second, and as we'll soon find out, our heroes don't either. No, what actually got everybody all hot and bothered was just this opening scene here where Sonic blasts into Restoration HQ and sees Amy sitting down having tea with Surge. You know how this fanbase is, you know how they love to ship things, and my dearest friend Stevie, who has done so many of the amazing thumbnails for my channel, has been a fan of this particular pairing for quite a while, and I think she was proud of the rest of you for catching up to her next level shipping. Got a lot of people trying to hook up Surge and Amy, and you know what? I'm here for it.
You've got a really progressive PC dad who knows all about this stuff, okay? Go ahead, ask me anything.
I just don't understand how it's decided.
Well, you see, it's a combination of genetic, hormonal, and environmental influences.
No, I mean, like, what makes the Asians decide who they're gonna make gay?
The Asians? The Asians decide who's gonna be gay?
As you'd expect, this has Sonic quite confused. Sonic asks Amy, you do know who these guys are, right? And Amy tells him to calm down. It might sound crazy, but as it turns out, Surge and Kid came to Restoration with the intent of peace, saying they wanted to turn their lives around. As Surge herself pointed out, during their first interaction, Sonic was willing to let that first fight simply be a rocky start and willing to have a do-over. According to Surge, Sonic made it sound so simple, so she said, what the heck, let's give it a shot. Sonic, with a raised eyebrow, asks, yeah, just like that? And that's where the comic takes us back to the abandoned Starline base Sigma. This is where Surge and Kit have been hanging out since their last encounter with the heroes. They are down to their last bits of rations. Fortunately, it was all Kit could find. The base doesn't have power, so anything perishable has been rotting. There isn't much stuff for them to forage around the base itself. Eggman is aware of their existence, so they can't exactly sneak into an active base, and they don't exactly belong in polite society, as Kit points out. So they are running out of options. And things get worse as they hear a rumbling outside, as we see a pair of giant super badniks tearing the base down. Kit and Surge go in to take them out, and they come across Rough and Tumble, who are very quickly overpowered by the Fennec Fox and Tenric. Surge says she will show no mercy to Eggman goons, but the skunks say they don't work for Eggman. So Surge obviously asks, well then what's with all the Eggman tech? To which we get the reveal of none other than Clutch. He introduces himself with a good old-fashioned tip of the hat, m'lady. He apologizes, saying that he had assumed that the late Dr. Starline's base was no longer occupied. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. Clutch seems to have his homework done pretty readily. It's very likely he intended to come across this pair. Whatever the case, when Surge asks how Clutch knew Dr. Starline, he says that the platypus was a frequent client of his. After all, Clutch collects any abandoned Eggman tech after his many battles and assaults. But what he also implies is that Starline would go to Clutch for all kinds of resources, meaning that Clutch provided Starline with the equipment and the means to make Surge and Kit what they are today. And in turn, Clutch knows exactly who the pair are. And he knows that they don't mind getting their hands dirty, and they're not exactly friends with Sonic and his buddies. And with that knowledge, he asks if they can cut a deal. He explains his shtick and his current scheme with Clean Sweep Incorporated, how he plans to take over Restoration HQ, take it down from the inside, and he would like the help of Surge and Kit. And in return, he will tell the pair everything he knows about them. In case you don't recall, these two were brainwashed and turned into superhuman cyborgs, so they don't know anything about their past lives before Starline got a hold of them, and Surge quickly agrees to the deal. But Kid asks, how do they plan to infiltrate them? How are they even going to get near their headquarters? And Surge says she knows just how to get in through the front door. And that brings us back to the present day, with Sonic asking Surge, yeah, just like that? And Surge responding, yeah, just like that. And Sonic says, cool, glad you came around. Look, it's really challenging to properly do time jumps in stories. It's usually an obnoxious cliche, but the comedic timing for this was perfect. I was wondering why they were interjecting it the way they did, but it was worth it for that payoff. And it also helps convey Surge and her view on Sonic. To her, his outlook is very naive, very hypocritical, and very foolish. But we quickly get a short little conversation as Sonic says that Amy will give the two of them a grand tour of the place. She whispers to Sonic to keep an eye on them. He just responds, "Oh, you betcha." And they do give them a genuine tour of their facility, with Amy pointing out how the dining and shopping works and how it's all supplied by this depot. Surge asks if they need all this stuff, and Amy says no, this is also where they organize supplies for anybody around the world. And here they run into Silver and Blaze. And when Blaze asks who Sonic's new friend is, Sonic says that this is Surge and she tried to destroy him a couple of times. And Blaze just looks on irritated, saying that Sonic needs to stop making friends like this. Surge looks on a bit confused, and they take a moment just to show how goofy the relationships are for Sonic. He's fought with Blaze, he's fought with Silver. Amy rolls her eyes, talking about the many times he's fought with Knuckles and Shadow. It's a very cute trip down memory lane. It's a very fun way to explore his personality, I feel. And Surge asks, well, since she fought Sonic, does that mean she's an honorary member of the Restoration? Blaze says that they're not affiliated, they just like helping out. And Amy explains that this is a volunteer movement. Anyone can come and go as they please, and if it doesn't suit them, Surge can leave anytime she wants. And Surge says, with a wry smile, trying to get rid of me already, a little bit more seriously, Amy says she's trying to make clear that this is her choice. No one will force you to do anything you don't want to do here. And Surge hears her. She can tell that Amy really means that. See, this tour isn't just a front. They aren't just doing this just to keep an eye on Surge and Kit. Obviously they are. They're troublemakers. Sonic and Amy are not idiots. But this is a genuine attempt to reach out to them, to tell them that they always have a choice. There's always a chance to create a better life for yourself. They don't have to continue down a path of destruction. And at the same time, for the reader, I think this is doing a little bit more world building in terms of how the Restoration works and how they can be massively hurt. I have a feeling Clutch is going to be a very, very big problem soon. They continue their tour into the machine shop. Here, they maintain vehicles that deliver everything from the depot. This is also where they store search and rescue craft. Surge says she's had her fill of gadgets, but tech is more Kit's thing, saying that the little Aqua Fox can come down here and show Tails how it's done. And Kit, who's been silent this whole time, just looks around, leering. Now the nameless not-rotor orangutan comes up to greet the two of them, extending his hand out to shake the hand of Kit, excited to welcome another young aspiring gearhead, saying he's always welcome, but Kit just leers, leaving the orangutan uncomfortable. Sonic goes up to greet Belle, who is in the workshop working on Whisper's Wispin, and rightfully freaking out when she sees that Surge is there. Belle is obviously concerned about their presence, pointing out that Starline made them, but Sonic points out that Eggman has made Gemerald and Omega, and Belle finishes the thought. She understands that her father, even if he was Tinker at one point, was Eggman. She is yet another Eggman creation, technically. But while Belle is reconsidering her position, Surge has to ruin it, pointing out that she thought she ruined the gizmo that Belle is tinkering with. This is, of course, as I said, Whisper's Wispin. As we saw in a previous story, Belle did rebuild it, and she's currently fine-tuning it, so we might potentially be seeing some more creative ways to expand her Wisp arsenal. That might be fun. Belle was actually just about to deliver the Wispin to Whisper directly, and Sonic sees that as a perfect opportunity for Surge and Kit to be introduced to the Diamond Cutters. Amy's not entirely sure that's a good idea given the circumstances, but Surge says, why question Sonic's judgment? I'm sure it'll be fine. And we cut to an awkward silence with Duo, Lanolin, Tangle, and Whisper. Obviously, Duo is looking at the rest of his team a bit nervously, but the three gals can't pay him any attention. They are not happy to see Surge and Kit. But Surge is just enjoying this uncomfortable situation, nudging Sonic saying, go on, say something. Sonic does his best to keep the peace, saying that he understands that there's bad blood here for good reason, but he figures that if given a chance, Surge and Kit would be awesome in the Diamond Cutters. Amy interjects, saying only if they want to join. Sonic wants to know why wouldn't they want to kick butt. And Surge, looking a little bit more stern than she has this whole time, says that they are in the room and they have thoughts and opinions of their own. Duo, of course, thinks it's a great idea. After all, this team gave him a chance, and having a pair on par with the likes of Sonic and Tails would be a massive help to the Cutters. Oh man, that's a terrible shorthand term for that group. Oh god. And begrudgingly, poor Lanolin, she looks so tired in these pages, says she has her concerns, but if they're coming from the recommendation of former Commander Rose, she won't object. Amy looks exasperated, saying that they've been through this. Now, I will say this, if you don't mind me interrupting really quickly here. I got some people getting really upset with me when I compared Lanolin to Sally Acorn, even though there are some very obvious parallels there, as there are to this entire setup. But the more we see of Lanolin, the more the writers and artists are getting a chance to give a bit of dimension to what Lanolin is as a character on her own terms. I pointed out before, Lanolin did come across as a civilian the first time we saw her, but I think they're retroactively trying to portray her as a proper soldier. She takes military rank very, very seriously, like to a fault. And because of that, regardless of whatever she thinks, she respects the chain of command and will go along with whatever Amy feels is best, because she respects Amy as a leader. Tangle is much more of a free spirit, but she identifies and agrees with Sonic's outlook. So if Sonic thinks this is a good idea, she's going along with him. So yes, these two characters are going by the judgment of their two friends for two very different reasons. But Whisper flat out says no. And good for her. I was feeling a little bit bummed out with all of her crying over a cat falling out of a chair in the last issue. Sonic tries to sway her mind, but Whisper's just not having it. And Surge responds with laughter, snatching the Wispin out of Belle's hand and handing it over to Whisper, saying that she was the first to show any sense in this entire facility. It's obvious to Surge that Whisper wants to take her out right here and now before she becomes a problem later. And Surge obviously respects that. She says that maybe she will join this little club, and Whisper can point her gun at the back of Surge's head anytime she wants. She wouldn't blame Whisper. In fact, Surge encourages it. Stubbornly, Whisper agrees, saying fine, but she will be watching. And poor little Kit finally says something, saying that if Surge is joining, he's going to join as well. Poor guy. But that's it for the introductions. We later find Sonic, Amy, Surge, and Kit overlooking the plaza, with Surge saying she has to admit it's a pretty impressive setup, but it'd be a shame if somebody burned it to the ground. And Sonic, still overlooking the productive little society, with a smile on his face, says, yeah, a bigger shame is what'll happen to the idiot who tries that. And with that, he turns his head, giving Surge a hashtag knowing smile. And it is subtle little moments like that which make me love this comic. This is Sonic showing Surge that, yeah, you can disagree with my ideals all you want, but I'm not an idiot. It's not a matter of just blindly trusting people. It's simply the confidence Sonic has in himself to handle whatever Surge might attempt to do. That's a hell of a flex. It's really, really cool. And you can tell it makes Surge a little bit nervous. But just then, Duo interrupts everybody, saying that he just got himself set up here, so Lanolin sent him to help Surge and Kit settle into a place of their own, to which Surge agrees to, and they're done with the tour anyway. And with Sonic and Amy left alone, they finally have a moment to talk about this. His recent interaction with Mecha Sonic and the others on Scrapnik Island helped remind him that everybody deserves a second chance. A third, even. Yeah, these guys are rough, but Surge and Kit had their lives stolen from them by a greater evil. And to Sonic, he feels that they should at the very least have a chance to make a better life for themselves, since they lost their old ones. And with that, the two hedgehogs head off to grab some dinner. I gotta say, it's never flat out saying that Sonic or anyone are dating each other, but they're still giving some crumbs here for all the shipping fans, I feel. Like, yeah, you could see these all as just friends, which is fine. It's nice to see this familiarity between everybody, but like Sonic and Blaze got a lot of attention on Twitter, and this little scene right here got the Son Amy shippers all up in a tizzy busy, and it really does feel like there is like a long-standing relationship. If I didn't know anything about the franchise and I saw these two and the way they interact with each other, I would say that they are in a long-term relationship. Again, could just be friends, but there's a love and familiarity between the two of them. So even if it's never official, I still think this is very sweet. But anyway, let's get back to the end of the story where we see Duo showing off the room to Surge and Kit. And Surge says it'll do, there's no leaks or drafts anyway. And Duo, who has been so polite and well-mannered this entire time in front of everybody, says with a smirk that he took the liberty of getting a room that these two could share since they're both so codependent. And Surge is impressed, saying Kitty's got claws. And that's when Duo reveals his true identity. Turns out that Clutch told Mimic to make contact with these two once they arrived and got settled in the restoration. Now that they made contact, they just have to keep up the act and play nice with everybody. And when Clutch is ready, he'll send the order, they'll hit their targets, and he'll come in and take advantage of the chaos. So now we have a really big, nasty plan in motion for all of these bad guys that aren't Eggman. And while things have been relatively chill, I do really like the slow burn of all of this with these characters that they've been building up throughout the different stories in IDW. I really, really like the characters introduced from this series. But that is the end of issue 67, and we will have to wait quite a while before we see any of this pay off. But if the creative team is to be believed, we're in for something special once this book returns from hiatus. If you're trying to build an online business or you want to set up a nice little space to show off your creative skills with a portfolio, or even if you wanted to just put together a creative gift, there are so many ways to take advantage of a web page. And Squarespace makes it as easy as possible. They have a huge variety of templates, fonts, color palettes, everything you need to show off your unique style without it being overwhelming. And it doesn't just stop at looks. You can take advantage of their behind-the-scenes analytics to see where your customers or viewers are coming from. They can pull all your social media accounts into one hub and help send out any messages or advertisements or whatever you have from one convenient spot and give you any notification from any of those websites there as well. Everything you need to build a proper marketing strategy to help you grow as a creator or as a business or really whatever you want. It's never been this easy to mark your place in the digital frontier. Go take a look for yourself. I've only mentioned a handful of features they offer. You can get a free trial going over at squarespace.com, and if you want to take the plunge, head over to squarespace.com/gameapologist and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Before we go, I have to thank the amazing people who help support the channel. That includes Kyle Winter, Cirrus the Skeptic, Joseph Duncan Sonic 2 Blue, Josh Strider, Casey Monroe, Trey Nobles, Hatsworth, Tiny Jericho, Ginger Bob, Jack of All Spades, Tristan Trapp, Meekers, Dun Quote, Resident Fanboy, Miles the Prower, Singer J199, Sam Webster, Fishflop, Lucas Lipker, The Bad Pal, Jonathan Dobbs, Chad. SP can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message after the beep beep. Cecil the Glade, The Dark Neon, Stefan Placonica, 3 Monic, Graham J. Hall, Lenny X, Wayne is Boss, Lederick, Dava Twa, Na Kava, Kaylee Ann Williams, Jimmy Duke STR, The Lumberjack, Trash Baffman, Enerjack 5, Grayson Conager, Spades the Nocturne, Ken K of Warheads, Ven 101, Paxton Bisbee, Sindarin 7, Small Winter Bunbee in a Scarf, Dreaming of Spring, Twilord, I bought the entire helium supply, have fun blowing up balloons now, Paisley, Eric Delgado, Crimson Rose, Nyx the Kobold, Moonicent, Roxas the Cat, Godzilla, Makuta of Salt, Gleam the Anomaly, Alexander Watson, Neil Gompa, Conan Kudo, Tenric Terror, the Lex, the most powerful ship in the 2 universes, Native Nerd 27, Kaido Prower, Spearmint, Speedy Cervici of the Samurai Pizza Cats, Omega Man 21, Penn Adelaide, Jamie Torres Jr., Daza S, the world's most unironic 8.5 Tails Tan, one more Sonic Robot, slightly less evil clone SP, MT Mecha, Yasai, Gob, Charles the Green Dragon, Botan, here to remind everyone that manatees are awesome, the RSI, Radiant Starlight, and OhGreatGames.com. Once again, thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll catch you next time. Toot toot, Sonic Warriors!